Everything Canberra for your weekend. This is the Canberra Weekender on 2CC.
Welcome back. You are indeed on 2CC. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend, whatever you're up to. It is still currently 13 degrees, expecting that top of 19. Well, I promised you some great guests, and I'm not going to disappoint, as well as welcoming back Alex Zaharoff-Reutt, our tech guru. We also welcome in Dr. Richard Miller, founder of the iRest Institute. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Peter Coroneos, who is a friend of the program, who is also cybermindz.org founder. How are you?
Hi, Tatiana. Great to be back.
Yeah, good. Good to have both have you in the studio as well in these, post-COVID-ish times. Now, Richard, tell us about the iRest protocol. What's this all about?
The iRest protocol is something I started putting together back in 1970.
Wow.
And now it's being used in many different populations and places around the world. We're in 25 countries, 7,000 teachers, 400 here trained in Australia, and we're working with everything from homeless to military to hospital people to stress-related. And now we're working with Cybermindz coming into the cyber sector to help cyber workers with their stress loads.
So what does it do? Explain the protocol.
It's a 10-step protocol that is designed to help a person, one, deeply relax, and then process challenging situations that they may be facing with their emotions, their different thoughts, so that we can meet each moment with a deep sense of resilience and well-being, basically.
So it sounds like a more active process than perhaps meditation, which people might
I like to think of it as a proactive. We're really teaching people how to respond to each situation, wherever they are, whomever they're with, whatever the circumstance. Yes, very proactive.
Yeah, and as you talk about building resilience and talking about like perhaps with homeless people and people in the military and, people who really need to draw on those skills.
Well, we're actually introducing people to an innate sense of well-being that exists within all of us that's actually unbreakable. And when we know that, we can meet each of our circumstances in our life from that ground of unbreakable well-being.
Fantastic.
Now, Peter, you've long been involved in technology and the internet and cybersecurity, and you also have long been studying the brain, the mind. And so can you tell us the short story of how you discovered the iRest protocol and realized this would be a perfect way to help cybersecurity professionals deal with the incredible stresses they're under? And how did you incorporate the iRest protocol into Cybermindz?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. Cybermindz is really the merging of my two passions. One is obviously cybersecurity and the need, to protect society so that we, have fewer data breaches and people can still feel confident and trusting of being on the internet, sharing their information. So that's obviously a very big and current stream of interest. The other goes way back to when I was a student at university, and I actually did learn meditation back in the 70s, just aging myself here. And I was applying it in my own professional career for decades just to keep myself balanced and able to switch off. And then a few years ago, I started to see the burnout that was happening in cybersecurity, and I did come across the iRest protocol. And to cut to the chase, I contacted the iRest Institute. I did the training myself.
What's it like to have that applied to yourself personally? You must have got a lot out of it.
To do the protocol?
Yeah.
Well, as Richard said, you discover the innate sense of well-being that's unbreakable. The thing I love, and Richard might speak to this, is that iRest comes from the position of working with what part of you is already okay, rather than other approaches which start with what's wrong with you. And so I found...
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a very powerful and different but effective approach. So it means that everyone's shown where they can dig in and find that resilience that we say is already there. And often it's just that the stress has caused us to disconnect with that sense of inner peace that we do have. And when we're using it with cybersecurity, obviously the workers there are at the pointy end of the attack surface where they're getting incoming attacks from all directions all the time, so they're not able to switch off. And so we've found just in our pilot programs we've been running in the last few months, they're getting immediate results because suddenly there's this other place for them to be than stuck in their emotional brain where they're really unable to switch off.
Well, and I'd ask this question of you both. You must have some amazing success stories from people who have struggled. What are you hearing from people who are applying this process?
No, I could speak directly because I've done about 35, 40 studies to date.
Wow.
But one comes to mind as Peter was just speaking of one of the persons who was in one of our original studies when we were working with PTSD and depression, anxiety, and he said every program he had been up until iRest had always started with what was wrong with him. And from that perspective, he really didn't want to do the program. When he came to us, he said, "You're the first program that right from the beginning was showing me what's right about me, what has never been injured or hurt and doesn't need healing." So really the benefits, and we see them from the first practice, people are getting their first good night's sleep maybe in years or decades. From injuries that they've had in the past. We're helping people with chronic and acute pain syndromes. We're helping them develop that deep sense of well-being that they can carry with them then into their daily life, but also into their relationships, and especially, say, in the cybersecurity sector, when people are under attack constantly, they go home with a sense of hypervigilance and they can't turn off. We're helping them turn off at night so that they can get the rest they need, but also bring it home to their families where that sense of well-being can also be brought home to the family as well. So the whole culture we're trying to nourish with a sense of well-being and
it's funny,
goodness.
isn't it? You know, we're so connected on these little devices that we all hold all the time, and yet we're so disconnected now as well. You know, people, like, you hear about young people who are terrified of a phone call because they don't know how to engage. It's all texting and so.
Well, it is one of the things that the program does. It helps people connect not just to themselves, but to the people around them and have a better sense of their place in the world, because people in the cyber can often feel very isolated. We're helping them break that isolation.
And I was going to say, instead of people meeting the challenges of life or protecting all of our accounts because they're working for some major company in the cybersecurity division, instead of being constantly stressed and more or less at their worst, this helps them to approach life at their best, at the burnout recovery and prevention.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's really our mission with Cybermindz, is we're alleviating suffering at the individual level because we feel great compassion and concern for our peers that are working in cyber and defending us. These are the unsung heroes. They never see the success of their work because to stop an attack that no one saw coming isn't acknowledged.
Well, it's true. When you hear about a cyber attack in the media, you're not thinking about the people behind the scenes that are dealing with that at all. You're just attacking the company who have where your data has been compromised. You're never thinking that there's someone actually working to fix that.
Yeah, and so this vigilance that they're in, I remember the chief executive of the NAB, the bank, said a couple of months ago that they are now stopping 50 million attacks a month.
Wow.
So these teams are there day and night protecting us all.
Because we don't hear about what they do, we? Yeah.
And I want to, if anyone's listening to this that's working in cyber, we just want to acknowledge publicly the value of the work that you're doing, that everyone should be, tipping our hats to you guys, because you're the ones that are keeping the continuity of society as more things attached to the internet, even our critical infrastructure now, water supply, energy, financial services, logistics, everything.
Well, these are the jobs our kids are going to have as well.
But they all have a cybersecurity dimension. And so we really want to protect and nurture and heal the people that are doing that hard work for us.
It sounds, if anyone's listening and thinking that it might be a little niche if they're not working in cybersecurity, I mean, you were talking about applications for people across the board. Why isn't it rolled out? The iSelect protocol rolled out more broadly, because I feel like everybody could.
We are rolling it out broadly. As I said, we're in 25 countries.
Yeah,
we're in Kiev
I feel like everybody needs to be using this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing, it's fun to do as well. I mean, it's not like meditation which we love as well, but where you sit by yourself. This is something where it's guided. So you can lie down with headphones on and really you're just following the instructions and feeling great afterwards.
Yeah, and you were asking about the protocol. It's 10 steps, and each step is individual. So people who are learning the overall protocol can then take each of those steps and put them into practice when and as needed. So if somebody's struggling with a difficult emotion, we have a step to help them learn how to do that. If they're struggling with a difficult thought, because a lot of people get caught in negative recursive thinking loops, we have a step that can help them learn how to turn off that recursive negative thinking and bring it into a positivity. We have a protocol that's just designed to help you get a good night's sleep, and if you wake up in the middle of the night, how to get back to sleep.
I would definitely need that. I'm a terrible sleeper, so yeah. How do people access the program?
Well, they can go to both cybermindz.org or they can go to iRest.org, where we have a number of free programs that they can tap into and learn the protocol themselves. And then we have whole training courses where they can go and learn if they want to both apply it to their own life or become a teacher. And we're looking for more teachers in Australia because we've got the application now that's coming into Australia with the cybersecurity. So we are ramping up our organization here in Australia to bring in more and more teachers who want to bring it to people.
And it's been in use in the Australian Army since 2016, so it's not as if it's brand new and hasn't already been applied, but now it's being applied to the cybersecurity space. Peter and Richard, you've been in Canberra for the past couple of days. I mean, Dr. Richard Miller, you've been visiting here from California.
Yes.
What's the very short version of what you've been doing over the past couple of days?
Well, we've got some pilot programs running with some of the people at the really critical end of protecting our nation. I won't mention departments because there is a degree of sensitivity around the work that they do. But let's just say they're the people that would be coming to our rescue if the entire nation came under cyber attack. And in some respects, the nation is under cyber attack because a lot of the really dangerous threats, putting aside the cyber criminals, are the nation state, like the militaries of other nations that are everyone's attacking everybody else. So that's happening now, and so we're working with them, and we're getting some really good feedback. So we're pretty committed to keeping this thing going.
And I've been delightfully giving some offerings of iRest while I've been here, but also Peter got me into the water with a little surfing, so I was able to dust off my surfboard
skills.
Took him to the coast. It didn't happen in Lake Burley Griffin.
But Richard, you've left much warmer weather to come here, I'm sure, have you? Or?
I have in California, but I've been coming here since I think 2015.
Wow, okay.
The teachings over here, so I'm really delighted to be back here again and continue the work.
Yeah. Oh, look, it sounds like a fantastic program. Alex, have you tried it yet?
Yes, and I need to actually do more. I'm going through a bit of a transition in where I'm working, and so I actually have to spend more time focusing on the iRest protocol. But I've been following the launch of Cybermindz since last year, and in fact, we're running short of time. But you're launching in the US next month, or later this month.
That's our other little bit of news. I may as well break it here. We are launching indeed Cybermindz. We're only 8 months old in Australia, but the demand is so great, and we're talking to our counterparts in other countries in cybersecurity, and they're saying we need this. So there's a major conference, 40,000 people in San Francisco in 3 weeks from now.
The RSA conference, a big one. Yeah,
and we've got the support of the US administration, and I think we're going to be coming in with a summit. We're doing a little leadership summit around mental health in cybersecurity, and that'll be our entree into the US. And
that's amazing.
Yeah,
like you say, so for such a young organisation, you're really kicking some goals. That's great.
Everyone loves what we're doing. There's no one else doing it, and so our timing's great, and we've got the backing of Richard Miller and the iRest Institute. So we really can do this.
So it's iRest.org, IREST.org, and then Cybermindz with a Z, CYBERMINDZ.org.
Fantastic. But thank you both so much for coming in today.
Oh, thank
and
you
you have
for
a very
having
cute
us.
dog outside that probably needs some attention
Carlo
now.
is just chasing your sheep.
There's rabbits out there too. So there you go. Dr. Richard Miller, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
No worries.
My
And
pleasure.
Peter Coroneos, you too. So get back to maybe some water sports. I don't know, whatever else you can get up to this weekend.
I think we're going to do the Arboretum next. so
That's a good idea.
Give Richard a bit of
A tour.
Australian natural history.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. And hopefully the weather holds out for you both while you're here.
Absolutely.
So, it was great to talk to you. Alex, always a pleasure.
Wonderful.
We will chat to you again next week.
Talk to you then.
That's our tech guru, Alex Zaharoff-Reutt. We are coming up to news time. Hope you're having a fabulous Saturday, whatever you're up to.